Hey, yo, what's up? Hey, thanks a lot for tuning into our YouTube channel. We have a special guest on this video. It's Jim and Emily Waymeyer. Now, they're a married couple, and if you're that person that maybe is struggling with wanting to get your health on track, but maybe your spouse isn't, and you're wondering like, how do I get my spouse on board? Or maybe they're just totally not interested and you're wanting to create some habits and some mindsets that can help you succeed, I think this is gonna be a great video for you. Now, I apologize at the end of the video. We kind of got cut a little bit short. My daughter was yelling in the background and so forth. But I think you're gonna really enjoy this one. Hey, and if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, feel free to do so and hit that notification button so that way you don't miss out on any good content that'll help you in your health and fitness journey. So God bless you guys. Hope you enjoy. Hey guys, what's up? My name is Jason Dames with Final Start Fitness. We got some special guests on our program today. We got Mr. Jim and Emily Waymeyer. So I've had the privilege of working with these guys both periodically over the past couple years, and we wanted to just have an organic conversation, just kind of talking about some things, how they kind of got on board with their health and nutrition and how it's made an impact in their life. Thanks a lot for taking the time tonight to kind of go over some of this stuff. You know, I think some of this conversation that we have might be relatable to other people. So why don't we start off by maybe introducing you guys. What's some of your background? How did you get into health and fitness in the first place, to where where you started at to where you're currently at now? So maybe one of you guys can jump in, or whatever you guy want to do.
Yeah, go ahead. You first.
All right. So, well, my name is Emily Waymeyer, and I am at a point in my life where I feel like health is something that's very important. And how I got there, it was baby steps for sure. So I was never consistent with working out. I would join gyms and maybe go to like 2 classes and just forget about it. So when I met him, he would go to the gym a lot. So I just sort of saw him doing it, and then I finally got to the point where I wanted to do something about my health. So I started working out with you, and then through our conversations started talking about how eating is actually a major part of your health. So then I started with him. I know he's always been eating healthy here and there.
Ish.
Yeah, and I never really thought about what I eat because I thought I was healthy. So
yeah.
Sort of how I
So
got
Emily's
started.
been a great student. Jim's a realtor by trade. Emily is a teacher by trade. And so Jim kind of started working with me a little bit earlier on. Really jumped on board with the ketogenic diet, just really on board. Emily was a little bit skeptical at the time, but maybe give us a little bit of kind of before you started, where you were at, and you called me up and said, hey Jason, I want to talk about health.
Sure. Well, I mean, you can only, what is it they say? You can't outwork a bad diet.
Yeah.
So you can work out as much as you want, and if you're still not eating good, it doesn't matter. You don't get the results you want. Plus, something that's so key is, in my line of work, or like the person I strive to be, is someone with a very strong mindset. And I realized that it's something that would amplify it even more is eating healthier and feeling better is just going to feed directly into how you think about things, or the way you want to live, or the person you want to be. So it was very important for me. I am so far from mastering it, of any of that, but I know, like, as long as I have an idea of where I'm starting or what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, I'm not going to say that I haven't ever, I do fall as a human, but at the same time, it's really just having a plan and sticking to it.
Man, that's great that you bring that up, because I think it'd be a great segue to talk about, like, one of the things that Jim and Emily are so good at is they're very humble and they're very teachable. Oftentimes, when I'm working with people, it's not always the case, right? It's like, Well, we talk about changes people could make, and they're like, well, I can't do this, or I can't do that. And a lot of times when people are saying these words, I can't, or a lot of the verbiage that they use, I can already tell.
Or try.
Yeah, or
things
try.
like that.
I'm going to try this and see how it goes. Like, give me 30 days, so forth. And you automatically know if you're just trying, you're probably not going to do those right things or stick with it long enough to see the results that you need.
Trying leaves room for failure.
Yeah.
That's one word that I work on or intend on getting out of my vocabulary is the word try. So.
Man, it's so important because the words that we use and tell ourselves really form our beliefs, and our actions follow our beliefs, right? And we talk about these mindsets all the time. And I know Emily and Jim are both very intrigued by the mind and how the mind works and mindsets. And so I think that's one of the reasons why you guys are so easy to work with, and I really appreciate that. Maybe talk a little bit maybe about the importance of being teachable and so forth.
Yes. So I'm right now I'm really into mind-body connection, and more so like the mind-brain and how much how our thoughts really shape our actions and how much power we really have over our mind. So when you think of something in a positive way, you will get so much more benefits from it. So I think that has helped me curb my, especially with my diet, saying no to things, and then like being accountable and working out consistently. So all those fell into place for me, just knowing that you do have power over your mind and your brain and your whole body just by thinking positive thoughts.
Yeah, because when you say you can't, you're pretty much already like set your belief system right where it's at, and so your actions aren't going to keep going towards a different direction if you're already telling yourself you can't.
Well, and just being open-minded about things too, I think really helps broaden your view.
And I say you were skeptical, at first about some of the ketogenic diet and stuff, but you've always had an open mind to learn, which is fabulous.
And that's what got me into
What book were we reading? Dr. Berg. Which one is that? The thinner one, not the longer healthy ketosis plan, but it's the small one.
So it's the body type book?
And that would really, like you were reading that, and it was talking about how your insulin spikes, or what is it like, what average
sugar
Americans ingest of sugar and what we should. It's 30 times the amount what we actually should.
So, and I think that is a huge part of it is once I read that, I was hooked. I was like,
it was. It literally was like, okay, let's try this again. And we started a couple days later.
Yeah. Well, maybe you could speak on the teachable part too. Like, I'd love to hear your input on that.
Oh man. The first thing is you have to, I acknowledge I don't know much, but I know that if I know you and you know it, I'm good. Or if anything else in a different direction, if I wanted to learn how to do something else, I want to go see the guy who has the results, learn from him, and do what he does. And that's literally what you have to do.
Well, I think we've had this conversation before too, because Jim's a realtor by trade, and he's very successful at what he does, and he's got other people that work for him, so he understands, the impact of the people that are working with him, that he knows what he's doing and he's competent in what he's doing, and so therefore he's teaching others and understands the importance of being teachable at the same point.
Well, yeah, you also have to surround yourself with like-minded individuals.
Yeah.
You know how many times we sit down here,
my gosh,
we're doing deadlifts or something like that, or back squats, and then we're like, how did we even talk about what we're talking about?
I know, right?
Because we're so far from even talking about weightlifting. We're talking about life philosophies and things like that. I'm like, how does this even happen?
Yeah,
it just kind of takes a step through, but if you're sitting here talking about something that you really enjoy, or you're with someone else who enjoys the same things, but also has the results in what you're trying to achieve, that's kind of where, that's where life happens.
I think that's what's awesome, and I think that's where people get messed up, and they hear me talk about this a lot, and so you guys might get really tired of hearing it. But so much of our results are how we think, more than just what we do, because the what we do follows how we think, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And
it's the same thing as like if you're sitting here and you're like, oh, I'm so tired, you're gonna be tired the rest of the day. But if you stop yourself and you it's almost like creating your own energy or framing things differently. Like, I have the opportunity to make this a great day and full of energy, and I guarantee you, and I've done this before. just because I'm starting to realize like I am in control of how I feel.
Well, and it all starts with your thoughts too. So if you learn how to listen to your thoughts and either keep it positive or go the negative side of it, I think you would be able to become more aware of it and sort of help.
Oh, whichever one you feed is gonna thrive.
Right.
You feed negative, it's gonna happen. You feed positive, it's gonna happen.
Do you think a lot of people are just it's so habitual that they complain and do stuff that they don't even really realize it? And sometimes when you like, if you were probably these people would stop and think like, pay attention to how much they're complaining or the words that they're choosing.
I'm so guilty of it all the time. It's like putting life on, was it autonomous? Like just putting it on
automatic.
Automatic. You know, just putting it on automatic and just doing what you do every day, not put much thought. It's the same thing as like when you get up and drive to work in the morning, you don't even remember you drove to work.
Right.
And going, holy moly, how did I get there? Well, you got here because you've been doing it for that long.
Yeah. Then that's the way our brains work, is that our subconscious, just once we figure it out and we consciously know what we're doing and we develop the habit, our brains run on autopilot. That's how we can do it.
That's why it's so much easier once you like ketosis, when you get in it, and you're in it for 3-4 weeks, it is super easy to do now. Like super easy.
Man, I love that you brought that up, because here's the thing that I always tell people: you gotta have enough time to change your thinking and change your habits, and those don't happen over time. And a lot of time up front, when somebody's learning something new, it's really difficult because they're not used to doing something, and they want the quick results, but they also don't want to give it the time it needs to be able to change their thoughts and so forth.
Well, it's because you're still craving those Skittles, baby. You know, that ice cream, that pizza. You still craving that stuff, and it's not far enough away from the first time we cheated the other day, I just was telling you this. The first time we cheated the other day, we were 6 weeks in.
Yeah.
I crushed an entire Uma's pizza. Like, it was awesome. I
would love to get that on camera.
Oh, that's a good one. You can see that.
He's probably slamming it.
The next day, or even later, I remember going to bed, I'm like, oh, I haven't felt like this in so long. And then the next day, it's like slow and sluggish and all that stuff. You just felt horrible to where you didn't want to. But I remember looking forward to this and be like, oh, this is going to be. And really, it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be when I was building up the moment. Well, that's so awesome. And I think what I missed the point, what I was excited about, is that he was saying that now it's simple for you. Don't even think about it. And that's the thing, is people, if they just develop the skill, take the time enough to develop that skill, the learning curve that I always tell people, once you get it, it's pretty easy. I think sometimes people, something that they're not aware of, it's just overwhelming for them because they don't know how, they don't have the skill level. Well, so much of it easy too. It's so much easier too because Emily's doing it with me. Right. You know? But she's, I'm so lucky and blessed to have her in my life too, and have her job and what she does right now. It's a little easier for us right now because with her being a teacher, it's off, and then you go through and meals, you go for shopping for the meals, but then we make them together and things like that. Let's talk about this a little bit more. You guys working. Talk about shopping, meals, and this. I think it's gonna be good, and I think more so talking about like working as a team together. This is something I hear a lot from couples, like my husband, really isn't on board with this, or vice versa. So I would like to go back a little bit, change gears some, and talk about Jim. When he first started, when we were working together, he was like, man, hey, I'm all on board with this, really excited about doing the ketogenic diet. It was something new. He was really willing to learn. Emily just probably didn't have maybe the knowledge base, was a little bit skeptical. So maybe could you talk about like where you were then and kind of now that you got where you got to where you're at now, and kind of how you're working as a team and how that helps. Yeah, for sure. So I have known about the keto diet for a few years now, and when I first heard about it, I was totally against it because I know he would do it for a little bit, and it was just little bit.
Yeah, so
The
it just
keyboard.
seemed, I'm like, I am not making a meal for you and myself. So I just saw it as a burden more than anything. So again, mindset was a huge part of mine, like, and knowledge. I didn't know enough about the background of the, because I've heard like, oh, it's bad for your heart, you're eating off fat, so you just really need to be careful. So I think I was just finding all the negatives so I would justify not doing it.
Oh, that's a good point.
So then I think that sort of planted a seed for me, because once I started working out with you and the conversations we've had, and then he bought the Dr. Berg book, and I just read the little part of it that explained it further, and then connecting it what you were saying, it all started connecting for me and making sense. So so sort of out of the blue, it was like a Sunday afternoon. Jim's like, well, do you want to do the keto diet? And I'm like, yes. And I was surprised. I said yes, because it just came out so easily. So I think just committing to it and having that knowledge base behind it helped. And
Well,
then,
plus having him too, because we're always like, hey, text Jason.
yes, yeah, you have helped so much. So then,
I love that though.
going back to doing it together, then that makes it so much easier to plan out meals and not have the bad stuff in the pantry. Or like if we wanted to go out to eat, we would pick a restaurant that we could choose something that we could eat, instead of me being like, well, I really want pizza, but leaving him out and not being able to. So it's just,
I only have so much willpower. You do that to me twice, second time, I'm fine.
Right.
I'm
yeah.
eating whatever.
Well, and then we would compare, like, oh my gosh, like for the first week it was pretty tough.
Yeah.
But it helped to have somebody go through it too, because we would sort of
I would never
share
have made it
accounts.
if you weren't doing it with me. We already did it. I already tried it twice. And it lasted, I mean, it would last, I would do it like 2 to
And
3
see,
weeks.
try.
Yeah.
Yeah, we tried that.
Yeah.
Tried.
Is there anything, because I am curious, this is a major struggle when people aren't on board. Do you think that there is a way, like, I think there's some husband and wives out there that they're just not gonna like see eye to eye on it. Is there, do you believe that there maybe is a possible way you could do it without, you know, if one of the other person wasn't on board, or eventually get to there?
I think
Go ahead.
Yes, I think so. I think you would need a lot more willpower.
Yeah.
Like a willpower mindset to get you through it.
Yeah.
Would it be more challenging? Probably. I think it just makes it easier to have somebody that does it with you.
Yeah.
You know.
See, I kind of look at it a little differently. It really depends on what kind of example you want to be for that other person, because if you know, like if you're doing it for yourself, but then also doing it for either your kids or your husband or things like that to be as a good example, it's that much more opportunity to grow into a stronger person, to be able to first establish those habits. And then you really don't have to, the discipline already comes, it comes automatic. When you establish a habit like that, of that kind of eating, it's really not even about you've already done the hard work. It's the discipline's there and you know it. And it's just like conversations that would happen over a couple months. I mean, think about it. We didn't do it together and it didn't work out for me, but I needed those times to fail to make sure that I set myself up for a winning combination when we both did it together.
That's a great point. I think, you know, one of the things I'd like to add into that, I think you probably would have, you know, especially figured out, even if you guys wouldn't have gotten on board somehow along the way. I think a lot of it, I always tell people, it's partially like your why, like what's your why, and then if your why is big enough, like you'll make the a priority, and then once you make it a priority, you'll develop the habits, and then when it's the habit, then it becomes simple. But with saying that, I think working together can make such a big difference. And I think the message is, if some of you are out there and your husband and wife are at the same, you know, point in the stage where they're just not excited about doing whatever you're doing, what I would like, you know, maybe to say, one of the things I try to do is just kind of love people where they're at and give them grace long enough to be able to allow them to get to that point.
Well, everybody, I mean, it's not like we haven't had that given to us. grace, you know.
Uh-huh.
How many times does your parents show you grace for whatever you did as a child? It's
Right.
the same thing. I just think the mindset, you have to look at it as an opportunity to do better things, because if you want to tell yourself that it's going to be too hard, or it really is going to be hard when you do it by yourself and your spouse isn't on board, that's exactly what it's going to be. You can't even give yourself that option that it's going to be hard. It just is, it's going to be. Like, that's it. There's not, you can't tell yourself it's going to be hard, or you can't give yourself that excuse and start that way, because chances are you're going to fail if you're feeding that.
Man, what I hear you saying a lot is like your attitude means so much.
100% of it is.
Yeah. Like John Maxwell wrote a book called The Difference Maker, and it's not.
It's good.
And it's really, that's the thing with so much of your results is your attitude. It's not like it's not, it won't change everything, but it's a difference maker. It's the one little thing that you can pull that will make a huge, huge difference.
Well, it's all how you look at things.
Yeah.
You know, because when I went through and did the ketos the first time, a keto diet, you know, and I think everybody puts a negative connotation on the word diet.
Yeah.
And I look at it as
Lifestyle.
that's what I eat.
Yeah.
It's not, oh my God, I gotta starve myself. It's, when I did those first couple times or whatever, I don't look at them as a failure. I look at them as an opportunity to get this time that's a building block. Like, I couldn't do what I'm doing now if I didn't fail on those other times.
Yep.
Yeah, I think for me, it was more of like reading up on it, gaining the knowledge, and then something just struck me, like, I think it was your first priority is to get healthy, and everything else will fall into place. And I think that's
Yeah,
what,
it's get healthy to lose weight.
Or
instead of
to
lose
feel-
weight to get healthy.
Exactly. So,
Right.
so that's what really hit me into starting something to make myself healthy, and that was eating. So when I started the keto diet, then all of a sudden, that's when things started coming easy. Like, I saw how it made me feel. I feel a lot more energy. I feel awake. I feel clarity, and then I feel more pumped up when I'm working out. So it's just sort of like everything falls into place when you focus on being healthy.
Well, I'm glad you guys went to that part of the topic, because now that you are doing it, you become fat adapted, and now like you're feeling better. And I remember Emily was talking about how she had slushies on a regular basis, and it was something that was so hard for her to give up. But now that she kind of, did it long enough, you were telling me how now you don't feel like the cravings and stuff. And that's why this is some of the reasons why I love this approach. It's not like it's the end all be all, but in terms of what it does for you, it really does make it simple. It's a lifestyle, like what you were talking about, to where it can like curb some of those cravings that people have. They're not starving all the time. I mean, I remember I used to redline, and I used to want to like punch somebody every time I was hungry. I don't know if you guys ever had that, but that's what some of the things that make it so simple.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, because it's been 6 weeks since I did.
All right, nice.
I haven't had a piece of milk chocolate in 2 months, and
You would pound
I
that.
don't know how that's possible, because I could eat
He could eat
I
a
mean-
lot of chocolate.
crushed some milk chocolate.
Yeah. So
I
you-
have dark chocolate every once in a while, and I
So-
don't know how I did it, because I literally could eat. Well, we used to wash. We would do laundry together, and then we pull the stuff out of the
Yeah.
washer, and there would be
Little
20
wrappers.
Oh my
little
God.
pieces in the pocket of my
That is
doctors
hilarious.
from work, because I
Yeah.
just walk through and grab stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have to
Not-
hide. I had to hide chocolate.
Yeah. Oh,
Man.
for sure. So we went through and we purged.
Right.
We got to set ourselves up for success, and we purged everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I'm
now
like,
you.
get all of it away, because if it's in the house, I'm gonna smell it, and it's milk chocolate. I'm
That
gonna
is
eat it.
amazing. I love it. And now you feel like you don't necessarily have to have it, do you? Like,
Not really.
And that's what's the beauty of it. Trisha was saying that one time. She's like, "Man, I was in a donut shop, and like I actually had control. I didn't feel like I had to." And she said before there would be no way that she could do that.
Yeah.
Well, then it builds self-confidence in yourself, and self-discipline.
Yeah.
So as you go on, you find that it does become easier to stick to it and not fall off as much.
That's a great
Yeah, but
point.
once you're adapted and you fall, let's say you fall off once.
Yeah.
Like,
It's so easy
you're
to go
not,
right back.
You're not. It's not like, oh shoot, I gotta start all over.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, just get back. You're totally fine the next day, and you just get right back to it.
Yeah.
Man, it's all like it comes full circle. It's all this. It's a cycle.
Yeah.
the more you learn, the more you create better habits, the better habits that you create, the simpler it becomes and you build more belief and confidence like you were talking about, and it just like this great like cycle.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, if you want to live on automatic, your best life's going to be with the habits, not having to think about it.
Yeah. Yep. So what do you guys think are some of the biggest like health tips and things that you've learned through this journey, on your health journey, and then maybe we kind of wrap it up from there? But
listen to your wife.
Oh my God.
Happy wife, happy life.
Don't even do that.
Go ahead.
That's probably a smart wife.
So I think my biggest learning was my intake of sugar and carbs. And I didn't know what was really healthy. I thought I was being healthy before I started the keto diet. I'm like, oh, I'm good. But that has really showed me that you really do need to pay attention to ingredients that are in your food. You need to pay attention to the sugars and the carbs. So I think that has given me direction on what I know is good for you and what I know is not a good option for you. So I didn't realize how much sugar I consumed in one day and how much carbs I consumed in one day. And that's what was making me feel blah or inflamed.
How has that impacted you now that you know, like you have that confidence and stuff?
So it impacted me to, well, first find meals that are healthier, that is more low sugar, low carb. I also don't mind spending a little bit more money on food that is healthier because, again, I changed my mindset because I am like a penny pincher. I look at the price of everything and I would get the cheapest thing. But that has changed dramatically because now I'm like, well, health is a priority to me, so I need to spend a little bit more on it.
Man, that's a key thing. The priority always goes back to priority and like why you're doing something. And so priorities are a great way to end the conversation. Guys, I just encourage you, get a big reason why, and then if your why is big enough, you'll prioritize your health, and then you'll start to create the habits, and then this all becomes easy. You just need to give it enough time. And that's one of the hardest things for people to do, is really just give it some time to be able to learn and develop the skill set and develop the habits. I tell my son Nolan this all the time. I'm like, Nolan, you got to fail to succeed. You got to go out there and make mistakes. And that's part of the whole process, right? We do that with everything, whether it's learning to ride our bike or learning a sport or whatever. It takes a little bit of a learning curve and some time to do that. So guys, I want to encourage you with that. Hopefully this video has helped you out dramatically. And hey, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button. Feel free to put some comments on the comment section below if you have something to add to this conversation, or maybe you just have some questions. So with that said, guys, we're gonna peace out. Peace. Yeah.